Everybody, Shane Simpson here from Guitar at Work. Welcome back. And this is a great song we're doing here today. This is Everlong, the acoustic version from the Foo Fighters. Everybody loves this song. It looks like there's some scary parts in it. It's really not that bad. And thank you, by the way, for subscribing and for thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It really does help on this end. Much appreciate. And subscribing and hit that little bell button. It'll just tell you when new videos have come out. And you'll be sure there's lots more coming out. So be sure to hit that bell button and subscribe. That being said, we're in drop D tuning right now. Drop D, don't let it spook you. All that means is we're taking this low E string and dropping it down to a D, okay? So mine's already there. So take your low E and try to match that pitch. Just bring it down. There we go. Bring him down to a D. You'll notice he's an octave apart from this guy. Your D string. And here it is again. There you go. The rest of the strings are standard tuning, no problem there. You really do want to get used to drop D. If it's new to you, it's worth chasing. There's a lot of songs in drop D for sure. In songs in the key of D, it just gives you that thunderous bottom. Now, you're used to, on a D chord, for instance, you're used to avoiding the lowest two strings. Now you don't have to. You get that big thundery bottom. That's beautiful. Love it. This guy starts out with what we call a power chord shape, but I should mention too, please, I'll be referring to sheets all the way through this video, so make sure go to shanesimpson.com. There's nothing to sign up for. There's no gimmicks, no hassles. Just go, there's a little red button that says download Guitar at Work song sheets. You'll find 3 folders there, beginner, intermediate, advanced, etc. Find this guy and Everlong Acoustic, and just download it and you'll be able to follow along much easier. We'll have good close-ups and everything of the chord shapes. Looking at the first shape here, we've got 9 and 11. You're seeing a 0. First of all, I'm just going to assume you can read tablature. The 0, easy to play, that's just your low E. And here's your verse bit, or intro and verse. Here's the 9th fret here on the A string, and the 11th fret on the D string. There we go. Now that's a standard power chord shape, and we'll be dragging that guy around a fair bit. And now what's tricky about this one is the rhythm, actually remembering the rhythm. It's a very specific right-hand pattern, but if you read it and follow along, I think you'll be just fine. I'm going to play those 2 strings there. I'm going to start it out with 2 bass notes, as you'll see the zeros. Then I'm just going to play the 9 and 11 that you have. That's those 2 fingers there, of course. So from the top again, we've got 0, 0, 9, 11, then followed by another bass note. Then 2 more 9, 11s. I'll just call it the chord. So we've got 2 bass notes from the top again. 2 bass notes, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, 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 bass. Now that's a lot to remember. You might have a better time going by ear than following along like that. If I'm going to go bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, 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 bass. Again, that's all written out for you there. That's the trickiest part, I think you find. Technically, that's not too demanding, of course, but rhythmically, it's quite unique. Let me do that a couple of times. That very first bar, get your good close-up of that. Here it comes, 3, 4. Bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, 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 bass. That's bar 1. Here it comes again. 3, 4. Bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, 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 bass. There we go. Hey, and a word about technique. You've got sort of a muted sound on this. You want to rest down here with your right hand. I call that the heel of your hand, that little bone right there. Rest him on the pins. So if you move him forward a little bit, you get that thuddy kind of sound. If you don't want that much thud or mute, palm mute it's called, you just back him up till it livens up. So that's your sort of quality control guy there for palm mutes. So here it is again, 3, 4, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, 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 bass. Okay, that's bar 1. Now here's a bit of a knuckle buster here. I need the 9th fret. The 9th fret of the low E, and I also still need the 9th fret of the A string. So I'm going to take that first finger and kind of break it at that first knuckle. That sounds worse than it is, sorry about that. So your first finger is going to invert that knuckle. There you go. And it's okay if your first finger needs to smear over a little bit, that's okay, because we're not using those treble strings anyway. So if you can't quite get that acute angle that I've got, don't worry about that. So we're barring the low E at the 9th fret, and barring the A at the 9th fret, and barring the D string at the 9th fret if you need to. There we go. And ring finger, of course, is on the 11th fret of that D string. And that's our second bar. And the rhythm is now, your bass note is now on the low E string. So we've got bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, 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 bass. Like that. Again, difficult to remember all that right hand stuff. Let me do that again very slowly. Bar 2, 3, 4. Bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, chord. The very last note in that bar is an open low E string, which is now a D, I realize, but boom. That's just because he's in transition. He's going to be heading south here. So if it sounds odd to you, realize that when we stitch it all together, it should sound right. I'm going to take it now from the very, very beginning. Let's see if we can get bar 1 and bar 2, and that's half of our verse section already. So here's 9 and 11 there. 3, 4, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, chord. Bar 2. There's that low E string. Good. So you may have to stop tape right there, just to get that going on. That's a large part of it already. Now, if we head to bar 3, we're just taking that shape we ended up with in bar 2, dragging it way down to the 5th fret, exactly the same shape though. And this is kind of only a half a bar in here. We've got the same shape. Watch out, the frets get wider as you head left, so make sure that you're still the same distance. There's a fret in between. We're on the 5th fret here, barred, partially barred, the low 3 strings, or low 2 to tell you the truth, and then ring fingers on the 7th fret here of the D string. So we have got bar 3 coming in here, bass, bass, chord, bass, 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 chord, bass. That's a whole lot easier than that previous stuff. So here is that top of bar 3 again. 3, 4, bass, bass, chord, bass, 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 chord, bass. So far so good. I'm going to go right back to the very beginning. That's a good way to practice. Go right back to the top. I'm going to add that bar. So here's bar 1, 2, and 3. Here we go. Top 3, 4, bass, bass, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord. Knuckle buster there. Open E, or heading down. Okay, we'll finish it off. Bar 4 of your verse coming up, and that's a large part of your song. We are now taking that same shape we ended up with, that guy there on the 5th fret, and we're dragging him up to the 9th fret, which is your B add 9. I haven't been talking with the names of these chords. It doesn't matter. It's okay. They're on their sheet for you. Bass, bass, chord, bass, 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 chord, bass, bass, chord, bass, 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 chord. That one's a little more predictable, luckily, that particular rhythm. I'll do that again. It's bar 4 of the verse. 3, 4, bass, bass, chord, bass, 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 chord, bass, 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 chord, bass, 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 chord, bass. There we go. Okay, so all 4 bars coming at you. But again, don't be ashamed to stop tape right there and just do it your own way. Get it going and join us back later when you're feeling pretty good about those movements. This is something you should not be able to get in a 4-minute video, whatever it's going to be. You should probably have to stop tape and just practice what you need to join back in. Okay, so here's the verse in its entirety, very slowly. 3, 4. Fifth fret, up to 9. Good, let me do that one more time for you. Very slowly again from the top. 3, play along if you can. 3, 4. Good stuff. There we go. There's our verse. I hope you did well on that. Again, stop tape if you need to. The pre-chorus, we get into something called octaves here. I've called it a pre-chorus. I think that's accurate. Notice I'm on the 4th fret here of the A string and the 6th fret of the G string. That is an octave. Those are both C sharp notes. Those guys. Now that might sound odd if you just remember it's moving. So you got to get it in context. It'll sound great. You can play the low 4 strings on that. That, and he's going to be dragging that up. Let me do it really slowly to show you what we're hoping to get here. Drag it up. There's your pre-chorus. Now if I put strumming in that, Okay, so let's bring it down, bake it down here. We've got 4 and 6. Let's just drag up the shapes. Don't worry too much about the rhythm just yet. So 4 and 6, and that's going to 5 and 7, going to 7 and 9, to 9 and 11. Now I hear this, I hear 9 and 11, up to 10 and 12, and back to 9 and 11. And here's that chord, that guy there at the end of the pre-chorus, this thing right here. That's a lovely chord. You get your B, and I'm borrowing the low 3 strings, with my first finger. Ring finger's here on the 9th fret of the G string. And I like to use the high E open, B open. I think I hear him sneaking it in there in the recording as well. And that guy there. Again, pre-chorus without the strumming so far is 4-6, 5-7, 7-9, 9-11. Now, quick little jump, 9-11, 10-12, back to 9-11, and then the big chord. There we go. That last bit happens so quickly that it sometimes gets smeared. You'll see what I mean as we move along there. So let's do all of that to see what happens. So slowly, 3, 4. Yeah, now how am I going to break down that strumming pattern for you? I'm thinking down, up. It changes on the up. That second chord is on the up. So if we're just thinking straight 8th notes in there, 3, 4, down, up, down, up, down, up. We're going to again. Now, so starts on the down, moves on the up. Moves on the down, moves on the up. So the first 4 chords so far. Up, down, up. There we go. So we've got all that percussion too. The right hand never stops, right? So here it is again so far. On the down, on the up. On the down, on the up. Now here I'm thinking down, up, down, 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 down. And I'm going to arrive on that big chord on the upstroke. If I'm right, let me do that. I'm going to go. That feels right to me. Here it is again. So you can barely hear me getting back that da-da-da, that what would be 9 and 11 to 10 and 12. Although it's written out that way, ba-da-da, you can kind of barely hear it because it's flying by. We're doing it at quite a reduced speed here. So let me do that slowly in time, and I'll try to scream out the downs and ups when the chord moves, right? So going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here comes again, slower. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah, so that last part is murder. So let me do it without talking. Here we go, 3, 4. Good, so that happens twice. And the last time here. Now he's going to the chorus, okay? Going to the chorus this time. We are now at the bottom, second last line on the first page. He's going to a power chord on the 9th fret. And power chord in drop D tuning is just that, 9, 9, and 9. I'm just borrowing the low 3 strings. That. So boom, I'm gonna go into sort of a muted all downstroke thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the 9th fret. Down to the 5th fret. And then I'm gonna go to a straight D here. Now remember, you're in drop D tuning, so you can definitely use the big thunder on the bottom here, the low E string, which is now a D. Yeah. So let me take it from the chorus again, 9s, 5, straight D. Now as for what to strum on that D, just fill the time. Big da 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 da. On the, I like doing, because they're power chords, I'm doing all downs on the power chords. Down, boom, 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 D, bow, down, bow. Kind of hear it open up when it hits that D. Here we go again from the chorus. 5, D. That's going to repeat. Down to 5. Now, second page, 9, 5, D. Now here we go chord-wise. We're going to this guy. 7, 7, 7, and 9 there. That's that sort of partial bar. You don't want to interrupt the high E string or the B string on that. And that's going to head down to the 5th fret. So I'm going to let me do the second page again, and that's just sort of the end of the chorus. Here's 9s, power chord, 5, to D, and this guy here, 7s and 9s, 5 and 7. And we're back to our friend. That's your verse again. And you have it. That's all there is to it. That's all the parts in there. If drop D is new to you, don't let it spook you. It's something you definitely need to be able to do, drop D. There's a ton of great songs in that, so stick with it for sure. You probably have a tuner. Tuners are now like 20 bucks, the type you clip on there. They're great to have around. So go at it slowly. That was Everlong by the Foo Fighters. That's the acoustic version where you can clearly hear the guitar part. It's a beautiful song. And I want to thank you again for your comments and suggestions. A lot of great song suggestions have come through in the channel, and I appreciate you subscribing, and make sure you hit that bell icon, because then you'll get a notification when things have come out. Trying to upload as regularly as possible here. So thanks a lot. You can also now support this channel by going to patreon.com/guitaratwork and just throwing in a buck or two. It really does help here. And I appreciate you coming back. We will see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye now.